Le Captain Ibrahim est nommé président du MPSR pour compter de ce jour.
As Burkina Faso rises from the shadows of instability, one is reminded of Chinua Achebe's words, "When the moon is shining, the cripple becomes hungry for a walk." Captain Ibrahim Traoré's bold vision has awakened a long-dormant nation, proving that crisis births courage. His push for sovereignty echoes Frantz Fanon's call. Each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. Since Captain Ibrahim Traoré stepped into power in late 2022, the country has entered a bold new era. With clear vision and unstoppable drive, he's launching one massive project after another, changing the face of the nation. From roads and hospitals to farms and schools, from military upgrades to youth empowerment, every corner of the country is feeling the shift. This isn't politics as usual. This is transformation, loud, clear, and unstoppable. Today, we're revealing the top 10 mega projects shaping the future of Burkina Faso. Each one tells a story of growth, pride, and ambition. And here's the shocker. Project 10 alone brought in $3.8 billion in 2023. That's not a small win. That's a global statement. Burkina Faso is reclaiming its voice. The page is turning, and like Sankara once dreamed, the people now walk upright into their future. So stay with us. You're about to witness how a nation once overlooked is now rising to command attention. And when you're done watching, tell us which project blows your mind the most. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of wisdom in narrations. In a land once defined by challenges on the ground, a quiet revolution is now taking shape in the skies. Burkina Faso is rewriting its aviation story, not with words, but with concrete runways, steel wings, and strategic vision.
You see, automatically, the next day, or at least a few days later, Air France said they weren't coming to Burkina Faso because it was red.
At the center of this transformation is Air Burkina, the national airline. After a 6-month suspension, it roared back to life on October 2nd, 2024, with a symbolic inaugural flight from Ouagadougou to Dakar, passing through Bamako. But this was more than a resumption. It was a national statement. The relaunch came with the acquisition of a brand new Embraer E190 aircraft, secured through diplomatic channels during the China-Africa Forum. The deal, worth around $109 million or 65 billion CFA francs, marked a leap forward in both technology and diplomacy. The E190 is equipped with 6 business class and 92 economy seats. Fuel efficient and adaptable to shorter runways, it's ideal for connecting regional destinations like Accra, Abidjan, and beyond. With fleet expansion plans already underway, this move is not just about mobility, it's about growth. Burkina Faso is now preparing to use its air corridors to serve not only passengers, but also its growing industries, from cashew processing to regional trade integration. Under President Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, the country is not aiming to catch up, it's aiming to lead. Further west, another game-changing investment is reshaping the aviation map. Bobo Dioulasso International Airport is undergoing a massive transformation. With 80 billion CFA francs invested, the airport is being modernized into a full-scale regional hub. A new, state-of-the-art terminal will handle over 1.5 million passengers annually. Runways, taxiways, aircraft parking zones, everything is being reimagined. And it's not only about airplanes. This upgrade is designed to spark broader economic impact. New access roads will boost connectivity. Tourism and hospitality will grow. Trade will accelerate. Bobo Dioulasso is being positioned as a vital node in West Africa's air network, ready to welcome more travelers, more commerce, and more opportunity. But the most ambitious project of all lies just northeast of the capital. Ouagadougou Airport, located 35 kilometers from Ouagadougou, is nearing completion. It's more than an airport. It's a symbol of vision and resilience. Set to replace the aging Thomas Sankara International Airport, the new facility responds to long-standing safety and congestion challenges posed by the old site's urban location. Ouagadougou offers a 3.5-kilometer runway, expandable to 4, and a terminal built to handle up to 1 million passengers per year. Despite past delays caused by political instability and failed concession deals, construction has reached over 80% completion. The new airport is now ready to set new standards in sustainability and innovation. Led by Vinci, the project includes the use of low-carbon concrete developed with local institutions to reduce environmental impact. A solar power station, 25 megawatts strong, complete with battery storage, is planned on-site, reducing reliance on imported electricity and setting an example for green infrastructure across the continent. In the span of just a few years, Burkina Faso has gone from struggling to soaring. Air Burkina takes to the skies once again. Bobo Dioulasso becomes a gateway to the west, and Ouagadougou prepares to lead the future. This is no longer a country watching flights take off. It is now building the runways. And with each engine's roar and each plane's lift, Burkina Faso sends a clear message to the world. The nation is rising, and this time, it's flying. But what good is flight without roots? As Burkina Faso builds its wings in the sky, new planes, new airports, new horizons, it is also planting its feet deeper into the soil. Because real sovereignty isn't found only on runways or in terminals. It's built in the fields, in the factories, and in the hands of its people. Captain Ibrahim Traoré understands this, that while Air Burkina connects the nation to the world, it's the strength of what's made at home, cashews, tomatoes, tractors, and tools, that determines whether the country can truly stand on its own. And so, even as jets rise above Ouagadougou, another kind of revolution is rising below, one rooted in the land, powered by labor, driven by dignity.
Traoré, il lance tout azimut dans tout le territoire, à travers les terres fertiles que le Burkina dispose, une offensive pour produire des céréales, produire des légumes, produire tout ce que les Burkinabés peuvent consommer. Et donc, du coup, aujourd'hui, on a des produits sur lesquels le Burkina est autosuffisant. Tout de suite, il y a une adhésion des paysanneries. Il dit, mais voilà une personne qui vient penser à eux pour la première fois.
Burkina Faso is no longer waiting for solutions to come from abroad. It is building its future, rooted in its own land, powered by its own people. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the country is witnessing a quiet but powerful revolution, one that begins with the soil and stretches into industry, innovation, and hope.
Burkina Faso's latest bet is on its cashew industry. Efforts to utilize its abundant cashew apples are already underway. This new $11 million processing plant in particular is expected to create a new
In the heart of the nation, a massive cashew processing plant has risen. But this isn't just a factory. It's a message, a symbol of self-reliance and economic awakening. With the potential to employ over 20,000 people and projections suggesting up to 50,000 jobs, it's already becoming one of the largest sources of employment in the country. Strategically positioned to harness Burkina Faso's rich cashew harvests, the plant is designed not only for local processing, but also to generate high-value exports. It's a move that cuts dependency on foreign processors and returns profits and pride to local hands. But the story doesn't stop with cashews.
The first cans of tomato concentrate made in Burkina from the tomato processing plant in Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina's second largest city. Local tomato processing is now a reality thanks to contributions from the local population. This venture into value addition will create great opportunities not only for the city but for the country.
In Bobo Dioulasso, another milestone has reshaped the economic landscape. A fully locally funded tomato processing factory. Backed by over 7.5 billion CFA francs, or around $12 million, this facility stands as a triumph of citizen investment. From villages to diaspora communities, the funding came not from foreign banks, but from the people themselves. Its output: 100 tons of tomatoes processed per day, 800 kilograms of product per hour, and an estimated 8 billion francs in revenue over the next 5 years. Behind these numbers are real lives, 187 direct jobs, and more than 10,000 indirect opportunities, offering dignity to farmers, traders, and transporters. The plant addresses decades-long struggles, like post-harvest waste and market instability, and restores power to the hands of smallholder farmers. These factories are not isolated victories. They are part of a sweeping national agenda. In May 2024, a major agricultural distribution campaign unfolded across the country. Over 400 tractors, 339 motorcycles, 710 motor pumps, and 714 additional transport bikes for farm agents were distributed to local producers. It was part of the Agro-Pastoral Offensive 2023 to 2025, a plan backed by over 78 billion CFA francs in investment. But machinery was only the beginning. The government also delivered 10,000 tons of fish feed, nearly 69,000 tons of fertilizer, 10,000 liters of phytosanitary products, 18,000 tons of vegetable seeds, 2,300 tons of feed seeds, and 10,000 tons of animal feed. These were not donations. They were tools of liberation, meant to make Burkina Faso food secure, productive, and sovereign. To support the next generation of farmers, the president launched the Agro-Civil Pastoral Technology Incubator Project in Barcé. Every student in the program received 2 hectares of land, water access, seed supplies, and equipment. This wasn't charity, it was preparation for a future led by young Burkinabe determined to feed their nation with their own hands. And in March 2025, that vision went further. A $200 million training initiative was launched, targeting 8,000 youth with agricultural training. In its first phase, 20,000 participants were enrolled in intensive sessions with a promise of land and support to start their own ventures after graduation. These stories, from factory floors to tomato fields, from tractors to training centers, are part of a single movement. Burkina Faso is shifting from survival to strategy, from dependence to independence, from raw potential to real productivity. This is not foreign aid. This is homegrown power. But no revolution survives without a system to sustain it. Burkina Faso isn't just growing crops and building factories, it's now unlocking capital to fuel them. What began in the fields is reaching the finance halls. What was once planted with hands is now protected with policy. Because for the cashew worker to rise, the trader must access credit. For the tomato processor to scale, a bank must say yes. For youth trained in agro centers, there must be seed money, literally and financially, and that's where the next phase begins.
Burkina Faso now has a treasury deposit bank whose network is based on that of the public treasury, a structure decentralized throughout the country thanks to the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré.
On October 7, 2024, President Ibrahim Traoré officially launched Postbank of Burkina Faso, BPBF, in Ouagadougou. A vision born in 1988 had finally taken form. Built with an initial capital of 15 billion CFA francs, or roughly $25 million. But this is more than a bank, it is a bridge to financial inclusion for youth, women, farmers, and small businesses, groups too often left behind by traditional banking systems. BPBF isn't built for profit alone. It's built for participation. From savings accounts to microcredits and SME financing to digital banking access, the Post Bank is tailored to meet real needs in real communities. In urban streets and rural villages, BPBF is opening doors, empowering households, and breathing life into local economies. Yet even as Burkina Faso builds for the future, it's also caring for those who carried the past. In the country's second-largest city, Bobo-Dioulasso, the government has announced the construction of a state-of-the-art geriatric hospital, the first of its kind in the nation's history. For too long, elderly citizens, those who served, sacrificed, and sustained families, were left with inadequate care. That changes now. With a dedicated budget of 1.7 billion CFA francs, the new geriatric hospital will offer specialized care tailored to the needs of retirees and aging citizens. More than 95,000 retirees and surviving spouses affiliated with the National Social Security Fund and the Autonomous Fund for Civil Servant Retirement will now benefit from free annual medical checkups and essential medication vouchers. This isn't welfare, it's recognition. A recognition that dignity does not end with retirement. That service to the nation deserves more than a thank you. It deserves care, consistency, compassion. Together, Post Bank and the geriatric hospital are two pillars of the same promise, that development must serve all generations, from the young entrepreneur with an idea to the elder who once held the tools to build this country. But what good is a loan if there is no future to invest in? Burkina Faso is not stopping at financing today's needs. It's reaching deeper, into the classrooms where tomorrow's leaders sit, into hospitals where lives hang in the balance, and into the soul of a nation still healing from its history. Because real development doesn't end with a signature at the bank or a ribbon at a hospital. It begins where the next generation is shaped, where wounds are treated, and where memory is honored. And that's where the next chapter begins, where hope is rebuilt, not with slogans, but with schools, clinics, and the unshakable spirit of a people refusing to forget who they are.
2025, Burkina Faso launched a policy for free education from primary school to university.
Burkina Faso is rebuilding more than roads and institutions. It's rebuilding hope, brick by brick, child by child, life by life. Under President Ibrahim Traoré, a new national vision is taking root, one that begins with the most vital foundations of any nation: education, health, and memory. In June 2024, the government launched the Presidential Initiative for Quality Education for All, a 5-year plan aimed at transforming the country's education system. This isn't just policy, it's a commitment to an entire generation. Across the country, 39 new university lecture halls, 44 modern high schools, and 10 technical and vocational training centers are under construction. In regions once silenced by insecurity, 250 schools are being reopened, and in a powerful symbol of ambition, a new polytechnic university is rising to serve students across the nation. But infrastructure alone is not enough. The government has moved to make education completely free from primary school to university, removing the financial barriers that kept thousands of young minds from reaching their potential. Alongside this, curriculum reforms and ongoing teacher training are reshaping the quality of instruction, turning classrooms into spaces where students not only learn skills, but also develop pride, purpose, and civic values. In the same spirit, the government is healing long-neglected wounds in the healthcare system. With Chinese cooperation, Burkina Faso unveiled the University Hospital Center of Pala, a 500-bed medical facility offering advanced procedures such as cerebral angiography, once inaccessible in the country. A second center, now under construction in Gawa, will serve the southwest and border regions of Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, reinforcing the country's role as a regional health hub. But the vision goes even further. 15 fully equipped mobile medical clinics have been deployed across rural and remote areas, bringing services like mammography, echography, and colonoscopy directly to the people. Solar-powered refrigeration trucks and vaccine storage systems are helping preserve life-saving supplies across vast distances. And through the Presidential Initiative for Health, IPS, 55 new community medical centers and 5 intensive care units are being built, spreading access, saving lives, and restoring dignity. Yet amid this future-focused development, Burkina Faso has not forgotten its past.
Burkina Faso's military ruler Ibrahim Traoré has launched the Thomas Sankara Mausoleum in the capital Ouagadougou. The Saturday event was attended by Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko and Chadian Prime Minister Ala Maya Halina. The mausoleum is a commemoration of former Burkinabe President Thomas Sankara, who ruled the country from 1983 to 1987 and was credited for improving the country's development and growing its economy while relying less on outside help.
In the heart of Ouagadougou, a monument is rising, not in memory of power, but in honor of purpose. The Thomas Sankara Museum, commissioned by President Traoré and designed by renowned architect Frantz Fanon, stands on sacred ground, the very place where Sankara and his comrades were assassinated in 1987. It spans 9,760 square meters and is crowned by an 87-meter tower symbolizing the spirit of Sankara's ideals, self-reliance, justice, and unity. As visitors ascend its spiral ramp, they retrace the path of revolution, challenging yet uplifting, until they reach a panoramic view of the capital. There, they will also find a restaurant shaped like Burkina Faso itself. Workshops, a media library, and open green spaces surround the site, reflecting Sankara's dreams of universal education, sustainable farming, and equality. It's more than a museum. It's a living classroom, a tribute, a promise that Burkina Faso will not bury its heroes, it will build with them. This is a nation reclaiming its voice through its schools, its hospitals, and its monuments, not through aid, but through action, not by forgetting the past, but by building a future worthy of it. This is not the Burkina Faso the world once knew. This is the Burkina Faso that believes in itself, in its youth, and in a future no longer written by others. The foundation is laid. Now, the nation rises. But the future cannot live only in textbooks and clinics. It must also walk the streets. It must have a home, because education means little if students sleep on the floor of crowded shelters. Healthcare cannot thrive if families are lost between villages and cities, and memory fades without a place to gather, to cheer, to dream. That's why Burkina Faso's transformation had to move beyond institutions and into the heart of its cities. Where there was once displacement, now there is shelter. Where there was once dust and silence, now there is concrete, grass, and sound. The streets are changing. The skyline is shifting. And from the foundations of homes to the roar of stadiums, a new rhythm is rising. Burkina Faso is rising, not only through policy or words, but in the visible transformation of its cities, its neighborhoods, and its national landmarks. From the capital to the countryside, his administration is building not just for today, but for generations to come. One of the most pressing challenges has been the displacement of thousands of Burkinabe due to insecurity. Instead of leaving these communities in limbo, the government responded with action. A bold housing initiative was launched, one that placed dignity and stability at its core. Over 1,000 social housing units are now being constructed across key regions, including Centre Nord, Nord, Plateau Central, and Haut-Bassin. Backed by an investment of more than 5 billion CFA francs, these homes are not just walls and roofs, they are safe beginnings, where families can rebuild their lives with hope. But this is only one part of a larger vision. Traoré's government is also reimagining the urban landscape. Roads once broken are being rehabilitated. New routes are being constructed to ease mobility and connect forgotten corners of the country. Public spaces, parks, walkways, and community hubs are being restored to breathe life into cities and to make them not only livable but uplifting. This commitment to infrastructure is echoed in one of the nation's most iconic landmarks, Stade du 4 Août, or the August 4th Stadium in Ouagadougou. More than concrete and seats, this stadium is a living monument to Burkina Faso's revolutionary heartbeat. It bears the name of the date when, in 1983, Thomas Sankara led a transformative revolution that forever changed the country's path. With a seating capacity of 35,000, it is the proud home of Les Étalons, the national football team. It is where voices rise in unison, where hope is cheered, and where unity is felt, not just seen. But time had worn its walls. The stadium needed more than maintenance, it needed renewal. Under President Traoré's directive, the stadium underwent a sweeping renovation. Spectator seating was upgraded for comfort. The pitch was rebuilt to meet international standards. A new lighting system and digital scoreboard were installed, enabling night matches and high-quality live broadcasts. Athlete facilities, including changing rooms and VIP lounges, were completely refurbished. Security was strengthened, accessibility was enhanced. From housing the vulnerable to reviving historic grounds, the country is not standing still. It is being rebuilt with purpose, one home, one road, one stadium at a time. But what good is a rebuilt city if it lives in the dark? A home needs power, a hospital needs light, a stadium needs energy to roar. For all the concrete being laid and roofs being raised, none of it matters without the current that brings it to life. And that's where Burkina Faso's next battle begins, not on land, but in the grid, not with bricks, but with volts, because for this nation to rise fully, it must control the fuel that keeps its heart beating. And under Ibrahim Traoré, it is no longer begging for energy, it is building it. Burkina Faso is a landlocked nation long defined by limitation. But today, it is turning those limitations into leverage, charting a bold new course through energy sovereignty. In 2023, a historic agreement was sealed between President Ibrahim Traoré and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The outcome, a $4 billion nuclear power project to be built in partnership with Russia's state nuclear agency, Rosatom. This is not simply a power plant, it is a transformation. Once reliant on imported oil and fragile biomass systems, Burkina Faso is now placing nuclear energy at the center of its future. Scheduled for completion by 2030, the facility is expected to meet the country's full electricity demand and even supply power to neighboring nations. This would position Burkina Faso as a regional energy hub in West Africa for the first time in its history. The project includes more than infrastructure. It brings educational programs, training opportunities, and public awareness campaigns designed to help citizens understand the peaceful and powerful role of nuclear energy in modern development. But nuclear is just one side of the story. At the start of 2024, Burkina Faso made another strategic energy move, acquiring the Tema oil terminal, a major hydrocarbon depot on Ghana's Atlantic coast, for $70 million. For a landlocked country, this is a game changer. This acquisition gave Burkina Faso direct access to coastal fuel storage, cutting its dependence on overland fuel routes that were vulnerable to political and logistical disruptions. By owning this operational depot, the country not only secures its fuel flow, but also strengthens its national hydrocarbon company and modernizes the energy supply chain. Logistics that once choked growth are being unblocked. Energy that once felt out of reach is now in the nation's hands. To reinforce this momentum, Burkina Faso commissioned a new domestic storage facility in its western region, adding another 104,000 cubic meters of fuel storage capacity. It's a step that matters for a country where, as recently as 2020, only 21% of the population had regular access to electricity, and where many still rely on biomass to cook, heat, and survive. But these are not numbers anymore. They are turning points. Hydrocarbons to stabilize today, nuclear to power tomorrow. Together, these moves form part of a broader strategy to make energy a pillar of national strength, fueling industries, energizing agriculture, lighting homes, and unlocking the full potential of the Burkinabe people. Burkina Faso is no longer sitting at the edge of the global energy conversation. It is stepping onto the stage with bold plans, strong partners, and a fierce belief that access to energy is not a luxury. It is a right. And this time, the light will not go out. But even power needs pathways. What use is electricity if it can't reach the farm? Or fuel if it's trapped behind broken borders? Energy fuels progress, but without roads, rails, and ports, that progress stalls. That's why Burkina Faso is not only generating power, it's laying the tracks to carry it. From nuclear plants to inland ports, from fuel terminals to village roads, the mission is clear. Sovereignty is not a slogan. It is structure. It is movement. It is access. And now, the ground is shaking, not from instability, but from machines, from ambition, from the sound of a nation building its way forward. For decades, Burkina Faso has struggled to overcome the invisible barrier of disconnection. A landlocked nation with vast promise, but with roads that ended in dust and trade that faded before reaching its borders. As of 2022, after 62 years of independence, the country had only 3,642 kilometers of paved roads. That number told a story of isolation, of missed opportunity. But under President Ibrahim Traoré, that story is being rewritten, with machines, with sweat, with purpose. In one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in the country's history, the government has launched a bold initiative to construct 50,000 kilometers of roads by 2029. Not by outsourcing the work to foreign contractors, but by investing in its own people. Over 900 machines have been procured, not for international corporations, but for Burkinabe engineers, trained, empowered, and trusted to build the foundations of their own nation. This is not just construction, it is reclamation. Roads now stretch toward villages that were once cut off. They connect markets to cities, children to schools, patients to clinics. And they carry more than vehicles, they carry a vision of a unified, resilient, and self-reliant Burkina Faso. But roads are only one part of the infrastructure revolution. In the country's second-largest city, Bobo-Dioulasso, a transformative $253 million project is taking shape. The Bobo Dry Port. Strategically located near the borders of Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, Senegal, and Niger, this inland port is more than a logistical upgrade. It's a strategic power move. Equipped with modern freight terminals, customs zones, and warehouse systems, the port is designed to streamline trade, slash transportation costs, and unlock regional commerce. Once operational, it will serve as a vital hub for West Africa, allowing Burkina Faso to compete, not from the sidelines, but from the center. Goods that once took weeks to clear borders will now move swiftly. Local businesses will have a direct path to international markets, and the economy will breathe with newfound mobility. But the movement doesn't stop on asphalt. Enter Faso Rail, a national rail network with one audacious goal: to connect all 45 provinces of Burkina Faso through a single modern railway system. This is not just a rail project, it is a blueprint for unity. Faso Rail will carry more than cargo, it will carry possibility, reducing the cost of domestic trade, improving food distribution, driving industrial growth, and knitting the country together in steel and speed. Together, these projects, roads, rails, and ports, form the backbone of a new Burkina Faso, a nation no longer waiting for access, but building its own pathways. From dusty paths to engineered highways, from landlocked limits to inland gateways, from scattered provinces to a nation united by tracks. Burkina Faso is moving, not slowly, not quietly, but with the roar of engines and the pulse of ambition. And as the first trains roll, the first goods clear customs, and the first child walks to school on a paved road, one truth becomes clear. This is not just infrastructure. This is independence. But what good are roads if they lead to factories owned by others? What use are ports if they only receive foreign goods? Or trains if they carry nothing made at home? Burkina Faso knows infrastructure alone is not enough. Sovereignty must be built into every brick, stitched into every thread, and poured into every mold. It must be felt not only in how the nation moves, but in what it makes. And now, with cement, cotton, and culture, a new revolution is underway, one that doesn't borrow identity, but manufactures it.
Captain Ibrahim Traoré, in a joint venture with Chinese investors, have inaugurated a new cement plant in Burkina Faso. The facility, with production capacity of 200 tons per day, is expected to produce hundreds of jobs for the youth in Burkina Faso.
In March 2025, President Ibrahim Traoré inaugurated one of the nation's most significant industrial milestones, the Burkina Bay Industrial Cement Factory in the Plateau Central region. A joint venture with Chinese investors, the plant marks a new chapter in Burkina Faso's industrial rise. With a daily production capacity of 1,000 tons, the facility isn't just a cement factory, it's a statement that the country is done importing what it can build itself, that it will no longer wait on foreign contractors to shape its cities, its roads, or its future. Spanning over 12.5 hectares, the factory operates with cutting-edge technology and a strong commitment to sustainability, recycling used cement bags and integrating renewable energy into its operations. It has already created hundreds of jobs and injected momentum into the national economy, but concrete is not the only foundation being laid. Burkina Faso is also building the fabric of identity, literally. In a groundbreaking move, President Traoré launched the Force National Support Center for artisanal textile and garment production. As the largest cotton producer in Africa and the 10th largest globally, Burkina Faso is transforming its raw resources into finished power. The result? Every police and military uniform is now produced locally. No more imports, no more outsourcing, a nation dressed by its own hands. But this shift runs deeper than clothing. It reaches into the heart of culture. In courtrooms across the country, colonial-era European wigs are gone. Lawyers now wear traditional African attire, bold, dignified, and rooted in history. In classrooms, schoolchildren wear Faso Danfani, the iconic national textile. Introduced by a 2023 presidential directive, it symbolizes pride, unity, and independence. And in the markets, one thing is missing: second-hand clothing. The importation of used garments has been officially banned. No more hand-me-downs from distant countries. Burkina Faso is choosing to wear itself with pride. These are not surface changes. They are signals of a nation refusing to be dressed, fed, or built by others. From cement blocks to school uniforms, from factory floors to courtrooms, Burkina Faso is rising on its own terms. But what good is national pride if the engine still runs on someone else's fuel? What good is a factory if the people building it walk miles for clean water? Burkina Faso knows the future won't be imported. It must be invented. That's why the revolution doesn't stop at uniforms and cement. It charges forward in silence on 4 electric wheels. It flows underground, through pipes, dams, and boreholes. Because real independence means more than making things. It means imagining them, powering them, and protecting life from the road to the riverbank.
On to Burkina Faso now. There's an interesting story of success from the auto sector there. Specifically, the release of a new electric vehicle produced by a local manufacturer is being hailed as an interesting move for a country that's been more...
In a quiet workshop in the upscale district of Ouaga 2000, something revolutionary was born. Itao, the country's first fully indigenous electric vehicle. Engineered entirely by Burkinabe talent, Itao isn't just a car. It's a national milestone. With a range of 330 kilometers on a single charge and the ability to recharge in just 30 minutes, Itao is built for more than convenience. It's built for resilience. Whether navigating city streets or reaching remote rural roads, this vehicle is redefining mobility on African terms. The Itao brand launched 2 flagship models, the Native and the SAF, both sleek, smart, and solar-ready. Equipped with GPS, Bluetooth, and renewable charging capabilities, they represent a future not imported, but imagined, built, and driven from home. But Burkina Faso's revolution isn't limited to the road. It flows beneath the surface, in water, in health, in survival. In partnership with the African Development Bank, the country has launched a $48 million National Water and Sanitation Initiative. It's not a headline, it's a lifeline. Across rural villages and underserved towns, 60 potable water systems are being built or modernized. Over 110 high-capacity boreholes are being drilled. More than 13,500 family toilets are under construction. These changes will directly improve the lives of over 500,000 Burkinabe. This isn't charity, it's strategy, a vision to achieve universal access to drinking water and sanitation by 2030. But water is more than hygiene. It's also food, it's income, it's power. At the Samendeni Dam, a new fish stocking operation is underway, aiming to produce up to 70,000 tons of fish annually. That means jobs, that means meals on the table, that means hope in regions that have long waited for it. Together, these efforts, electric innovation above ground and water security below, form the arteries of a new Burkina Faso. But what good is clean water and electric cars if the wealth beneath your feet still belongs to someone else? Burkina Faso has powered homes, lit roads, and quenched thirst, but true liberation means owning what lies deepest. Its minerals, its markets, its meaning. Now the ground itself is speaking, not with silence, but with gold. Because a nation that builds its future above must also reclaim the treasures below. And under President Traoré, Burkina Faso is no longer trading its inheritance for crumbs. It's smelting it into power, into policy, into pride.
The Burkina Faso government has granted mining license to a Russian company called Nordgold for a gold project. The Burkina Faso government seeks to strengthen the economy by leveraging on the gold in Burkina Faso. I mean, it's theirs in the first place.
Burkina Faso is taking back control, not just of its land, but of what lies beneath it. For decades, the country's gold was mined by foreign companies, refined abroad, and returned as profits that never reached the people. But in late 2024, that story began to change. Under President Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso launched its 4th gold refinery, a move that marks a strategic shift from exporting raw gold to processing it on home soil. The refinery, built in partnership with Marena Gold, carries an annual refining capacity of 150 tons. It's not just a technical upgrade, it's a declaration of ownership. By refining gold locally, the country is keeping more value within its borders, creating hundreds of jobs and thousands of opportunities. The project is expected to generate around 100 direct jobs and over 5,000 indirect ones, impacting families, communities, and local economies across the nation. And this isn't happening in isolation.
Burkina Faso's Bongo and Wagnin gold mines now belong to the government. Until Tuesday, the 27th of August 2024, the Bongo and Wagnin gold mines were owned by an African mining company. However, Ouagadougou has agreed a deal to nationalize the mines for around $80 million.
In August 2024, the government nationalized two of the country's most strategic gold mines, Bongu and Ouaga. A bold decision, one that drew criticism from some foreign interests. But to the people of Burkina Faso, it was justice. In 2023 alone, the country produced approximately 58.3 tons of gold, earning $3.8 billion in export revenue. That gold now will begin to flow through Burkinabe hands, through Burkinabe refineries, toward Burkinabe futures. But even more quietly, a deeper shift is taking place.
Burkina Faso's Bongo and Ouaga gold mines now belong to the government. Until Tuesday, the 27th of August 2024, the Bongo and Ouaga gold mines were owned by an African mining company. However, Ouagadougou has agreed a deal to nationalize the mines for around $80 million, and Devil Mining would agree to sell Bongo and Ouaga.
In a move that turned heads across the West, Burkina Faso granted a gold mining permit to Russia's Nord Gold. It wasn't simply a business deal, it was a signal of realignment. The government is deliberately stepping away from traditional Western partnerships, many of which were tied to colonial legacies, and instead forging alliances that serve national interests. The deal with Russia coincided with the re-establishment of the Russian embassy in Ouagadougou after 31 years of closure. At the same time, French troops were ordered to leave. Operation Sabre, the last military footprint of France in the region, was officially ended. And in one of the most symbolic gestures yet, the government dropped French as the country's official language, elevating local languages to promote unity and reclaim cultural pride. The creation of a national gold reserve, along with the establishment of the state-run mining company Société de Participation Minière du Faso, further cements the country's course. This is no longer a nation waiting for development. This is a nation designing its own destiny. Burkina Faso isn't simply mining gold, it's mining dignity, it's reclaiming value, and it's breaking from the past with fire and steel. Burkina Faso is not waiting for inclusion to come from outside. It is building it from within. Finance for the underserved, healthcare for the forgotten, a future that honors everyone who walks its soil. This is not just progress, this is purpose. Tell us which project you're most excited to see finished and what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I wish you better life, foods, and money. Stay in the Big Wins family.